Application to Admission podcast, the live version, the one in which you get to look at us and listen to us at the same time. We appreciate your stopping by. We are live right now, but by the time you watch this, we probably won't be. I'm Shereem Herndon Brown, one half of Application to Admission on the application side. I'll let my co-author slash partner slash real life, accountability buddy introduce themselves. Shout out, Tim. Go.
Hey, Timothy Fields, co-author of the Black Families Guide to College Admission, a conversation about education, parenting, and race. Also serve as the Senior Associate Dean of Undergraduate Admission at Emory University. Even though the thoughts, opinions that are articulated on this podcast are not that of Emory University, they are solely those of Timothy Lewis Fields.
I'm glad
you get on the record, homie.
Yeah. You make sure. Hey, this is my receipt. Hey, look. I said this doesn't mean you said it. Understood.
Hey, Shereem.
What's going on?
So let's get into it right now, man. Everybody is waitlisted. There are a lot of people who are waitlisted, and they're in this holding pattern. What advice are you sharing with families? I mean, maybe your families don't have that problem, seeing how you did an excellent job. But in the case there is a family, there is waitlisted. What advice are you giving?
That's a great way to put it. Know what I'd love for you to do first? If you can just move that slide over so it says waitlisting. There you go.
Live. This is live right now. Thank you.
You're actually right. A lot of our students, some of our students are waitlisted, but I think they all got their first choice. But all that said, it's a tough pickle. I tell families that I do know that may not have worked with us, family, friends, everybody wants the last piece of advice now. Nobody wanted to come up front, but it's a whole nother thing. I am a big believer that waitlist, to me, signals a had you applied early decision, 1 or 2, to a school, and they waitlisted you, that there's a good chance they probably could have had you. And I say that because the school still likes you, right? They still like you enough to keep you in this holding pattern of, we like you, but we're not sure we're going to need you because we admitted kids who were different than you. I won't say better, but we waitlist because we were different from you. Now we got to see what their decision is going to make. Given all the factors that a school has to go through in terms of determining their enrollment, in terms of the admitted students having the option to choose that school, I don't think the wait list is something you can depend upon. I am a big believer in emotionally attaching yourselves, students and parents, to another institution which you've admitted. Accept that fact that you're probably going to go there. If you want to leave that window open for a wait list, accept, that's on you. So again, it's not pessimistic. It is more like you're now at the hands of enrollment management. You're at the hands of another student who has nothing to do with you. So if that becomes an opportunity, bravo. If not, I hope you'll still be okay. So my advice to waitlist families right now is to emotionally disconnect, still follow the protocols of sending in a continued interest letter. Tell the school that you want to, come off the waiting list. It is now mid-April. Colleges aren't going to start going to their wait list, if at all, until the end of the month or even early May, given on their enrollment. So lots to be shaken out. But I think that following up, being pleasantly persistent, not annoying, having your school counselor or an additional recommendation submitted in your favor as something to advocate for you is a plus. What do you think? Again, so I'm the application side. On the admission side, tell me what you either have done or have done historically at Emory, or you have peers in the space. How do they handle the wait list?
Yeah, I'm just gonna just talk in general, and I can only
because the views are expressed are uniquely Tim Fields.
Correct. And so these are just from conversations I've had with colleagues across the spectrum of different schools. I would say that really, if you're waitlisted, similar to your point, you need to move on. That the reality is more than likely it's not going to happen, and you probably have a lot of great options. And so I guess what I wouldn't want families to do is to hold on for a chance to get into some place, especially this year. There are so many unknowns this year that are going on, as far as on both sides, as far as the high school side, as far as what families are thinking about, the admission side, as far as kind of enrollment management, the Supreme Court decision, the FAFSA. Just there's all kinds of just additional variables that aren't there. So, I'm always a believer of a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. So if you have some solid admits at some great schools, I would, really, kind of emotionally and mentally move towards that direction, as opposed to holding on for something that the reality is more than likely not going to happen. If it does, to your point, it's a pleasant surprise. But if not, you're not just holding on until May 15th. Oh, June 1st. And then ultimately they say, we're not taking anybody on June 15th. And then those other schools that you were admitted at have thus moved on and say, hey, we can no longer consider you. So
yeah,
that's
but
kind of where I'm
everybody.
at.
So whoever's listening to this, please take this as information that you may not have. Even though you're waitlisted at your first choice school, at your child's first choice, you still got to submit a deposit by that 1B, right? If 1A is your school, it's a school that waitlisted at. Hopefully 1B you've been admitted at. You still need to submit a deposit by their enrollment date, even if you don't have the FAFSA situation all sorted. That was a whole nother piece of the puzzle, but still secure your spot emotionally and financially at another institution. So waiting list people, good luck out there. You should have been applying strategic admissions advice. You wouldn't be in this predicament.
And in other news, Harvard reinstates testing requirements.
Why are you saying that with such a smile? Well, what's going on there? Why is standardized testing being back in the fold smiley information for you?
I mean, it's just, we've had these conversations as we started writing our book in the midst of the pandemic, as a lot of schools moved to being test optional. And at the moment in time, it was like, this is what all schools are going to do. This is what's going to stay. And in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, pandemic, people can't test. It's kind of a requirement. I would just hold tight and see how this whole thing plays out. And slowly, surely, you got MIT, you got Dartmouth, you have, what was Yale?
Caltech just went too.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
okay. But all these institutions are rolling back the idea like, oh, we want to require testing. So I say all that to say is, I'm not what. That family told you so, Shereem. I told you.
No, it's strange. I am surprised that standardized testing has come back, even particularly at the engineering places, in which, again, I thought they'd be happy that they were getting more applications, but I guess what they were getting were more applications of people who didn't have the academic pedigree that they were, used to. And I'm sure they've had 2 years of data in terms of tracking the students who submitted testing versus the ones who did not. Excuse me. But all that said, it's an issue. It's an issue because I do think, yes, while it will reduce the amount of applications to some schools, Harvard, I guess, it says that there's always been, you're still a number, right? All this holistic, in my humble opinion, these are the views expressed by Shereem Herndon Brown, Strategic Admissions Advice. I think that testing coming back signals another wall, another barrier that colleges of this elite, quote unquote, status is putting in front of them to minimize, I guess, who they deem to not be worthy. So you can take that however you want. I didn't say the words racial or socioeconomic. What I did say was that I was optimistic. I was not a strong test taker, period. I am a good human being with a college education who's doing good things in the world. I don't think my test score should not be prevent me, or excuse me, should have a barrier, create a barrier, excuse me, that allows me to the greatest resources in the world. But it's the way things operate in admissions. I'm not surprised that the Ivies, Harvard, Dartmouth, Yale have brought them back, MIT, Caltech, everybody follows what Harvard does. So this would be funny though. Columbia University came out last year and said that they're going to be test optional forever. I'm watching them very closely, but I watch all Ivies closely, as we all do. Let's see how this works out at HBCUs, how it works out at competitive liberal arts schools, particularly engineering schools, or not, what I mean. So I am a believer to an extent, but I know you were having your chuckle about this and testing it. We've always said take the test. You and I have been telling people at the top, take the test.
Yeah, you got to take the test. You got to have some options, and then for the many schools that are test optional, because by far there are more schools that are test optional than not. You have that option, but there are scholarships, there are states. I was actually just talking to a young lady who was admitted to Emory, and said that, she did not get into Georgia Tech, and she firmly believed it was because of her test scores, where Georgia Tech requires test scores and Emory does not. And so we want you to take the test, have it available to you, and do what's best for you moving forward. But there's more to the application than testing. There is your extracurricular activities, what you do outside the classroom, how you're preparing. So Shereem, what are you telling rising seniors they should be doing this summer to bolster up their resume for the applications as we begin another cycle?
So I've been in this profession long enough to still not like the term resume off the top. I know it's a necessary part of people's vocabulary right now. I've always been a firm believer that the summer is an 8 to 12 week opportunity for you to decompress, parents and students, as it pertains to this process. Once the fall hits, and as Tim says, the cocktail circuit, what do you call that? The cocktail party
circuit, the
wine and cheese circuit. Once you get back to school and everybody's in your ear about college, that's going to be plenty from August 15th to December 15th. So I am a big believer in students doing what they want to do in terms of not sitting on your house and flicking through Netflix and Hulu, Prime Video and Disney Plus. I can tell you what I'll be doing this part of the summer, but more importantly, enjoy doing something that you like. Once upon a long time ago, being a summer camp counselor at this camp that you probably used to go to was not a bad thing to do. It showed that you had a loyalty and commitment and character and wanted to give back, and you made a little bit of money. And now people thinking of it as, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. I beg to differ. I'm into sharing experiences with the younger generation. That means the younger generation of 7 and 9-year-olds that are looking at your 16, 17-year-olds like they're, really, really good people. All that said, get a job, work if you're going to do something academic. So I'm not against academic opportunities, but it has to be discipline specific. And I'm not a big pay for play person. Someone asked me just yesterday or a couple of days ago, I heard that demonstrating interest by going to a school's summer program can be effective. Don't believe that. That's the wine and cheese circuit tell you that. There's no admissions person who's going to tell you that going to a school over there for their summer program is going to help you get in. So that's a long-winded answer of do what you want to do in a constructive way, allocate some time to write some essays over the summer so they're not kind of gripping you up towards the end of the summer. But breathe, relax, take some time with your family, take time with your friends. These summers come and go quickly. I can remember what I did the summer of my, before my senior year. I want y'all to have a good one. So I've been talking a lot. Is that typical? That I'm
you just now like see yourself doing it. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. We want students to do things that they enjoy, things that they're passionate about. We don't want you to say, hey, I just need to go do this in the hopes to get into a school where the admit rate is below 10%. That's just not a good use of your time. We want you to enjoy, your summers, do things that you, kind of are passionate about, to Shereem's point, because, ultimately what's going to shine in the application is things that obviously they mean what they mean to you. So definitely we want you to highlight that. And then, finally, Shereem, we about to hit the road, man. So, if people, think this is funny, imagine having us in front of your school or your community, sharing information about all that's going on in the college admission world. So where we heading? Where we going?
So this week we will be up and running. We're going to be in Massachusetts at Cambridge Library, which is, adjacent aforementioned Harvard University, as well as MIT. Will be out there. We're looking forward to that. We're also going to Boston. We're going to be at Beaver Country Day School for their HBCU night, I think it's called. So again, that's a great opportunity. Then the following week, you got me down to the dirty South. Where we at?
We're at Atlanta. We're at the Auburn Avenue
ATL,
Library.
shorty.
ATL next Tuesday. And then the following day, we are headed to New Orleans.
New Orleans, shorty.
We're going to have a program in New Orleans. And then I'm going to go back up to Maryland the following weekend. Maryland.
So ATL, New Orleans, and then Maryland. So, we're pumped. We got a great presentation we're looking forward to at a library, I believe, right in the heart of the city, inside the perimeter. Check that out on our website, understandthechoice.com. We're at Metairie Country Day School in New Orleans that Wednesday, and then the following Monday, we're at the Potomac School No, that's not what it's called. St. Andrews School.
We're at St. Andrews, yes.
Yeah, excuse me, forgive me. St. Andrews School in Potomac. So I knew where I was coming from, and
There we
we're
go.
that opportunity. So no, I'm glad that we're able to share our book with people. I'm glad that people have been receptive to it. I'm glad that you're listening to this podcast. You're watching this podcast. Now you can determine who's the better looking co-author. I'm freshly shaved. Know what I mean. But all that said, Tim, before we close us out, I want to say it's an honor to do this with you because I think we're giving people good information and bite-sized nuggets, like you say. How do you want to close us out, my dude?
Follow said understanding the choices. You can see this, obviously the full interview or conversation that we're having on our YouTube page. Follow us on all platforms. We're going to continue to put out, information because, there's a lot of things that are going to come out as far as once classes are made. We're going to see what was the effect of the Supreme Court decision on the racial makeup of classes. We're going to see how did the FAFSA. So we want you, obviously there's seniors. Congratulations. We are excited that you have made it to the process, but it's cyclical. Junior families, you're about to start this. So we want to make sure you have the latest and greatest information to help you navigate this, process. And obviously, we also want to be supporters of other educators who are, going through this process as well. We don't profess to know it all. We just want to be a part of the larger conversation. Without
speak for yourself.
Okay, we're out.